Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going.
Today we have predictions for 6 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the Orlando Magic and Detroit Pistons. The Pistons and Magic are squaring off tonight, and I've got to say, this one has a lot of angles to unpack. Orlando's season started with a bang, but they've hit some serious turbulence lately. Sitting at 20-14, they've dropped 5 of their last 8 games, and let's face it, the injuries are piling up like a rush hour traffic jam. No Paolo Banchero, no Franz Wagner, and Moritz Wagner's out for the season. Now, we're looking at day-to-day question marks for Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black. That's a rough hand to play with. Their defense is still their calling card. It's top-notch, no doubt, but let's be real, you can't win games if you can't put points on the board. Orlando's offense is a mess right now, ranking near the bottom of the league. They're bricking threes left and right, shooting just over 30% from deep, and barely making 11 triples a game. Without their top scorers, it's hard to see where the firepower is going to come from. That's what makes this matchup tough for the Magic. They've got hustle, but there's only so much grit can do when your roster's looking like a patchwork quilt. On the flip side, the Pistons are feeling pretty good about themselves. They're 14-18, but they've quietly won 4 of their last 6, including 3 big road wins. Beating Western Conference playoff contenders on their turf? That's no small feat now they're back home, rested, and ready to roll. Cade Cunningham is the real deal, no question. He's the engine that makes this team go, but let's not sleep on guys like Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and Ozar Thompson. This young core is starting to show flashes, and they've got the vets to guide them. Malik Beasley, in particular, is having himself a season, knocking down threes at a 42% clip. That kind of shooting stretches defenses and opens things up for everyone else. The way I see it, this game comes down to 2 things: depth and health. The Pistons are as healthy as they've been all year, which is saying something at this point in the season. Meanwhile, the Magic are missing key pieces left and right. Even if Suggs and Black suit up, they won't be 100%, and that's a tough spot to be in against a rested and confident Detroit squad. Orlando will bring the energy on defense. That's their MO, but I don't see them having enough offensive juice to keep pace. Detroit's got the momentum, they're at home, and they've got the tools to take advantage of Orlando's shortcomings. I think the Pistons pull this one out. The Magic might make it scrappy, but there's just too much working against them right now. My pick? Detroit handles business and keeps the good vibes rolling.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe, with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Utah Jazz and New York Knicks. The Knicks are hosting the Jazz tonight, and let me tell you, this one looks like a mismatch on paper. New York is cruising with a stellar 23-10 record, while Utah is slogging through a rough season at 7-24. The Knicks have been red hot, riding an 8-game win streak, and their recent 126-106 demolition of the Wizards shows they're not just winning, they're dominating. Meanwhile, the Jazz are in the middle of a 4-game skid, including a tough loss to Denver where Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets pretty much had their way with them. Utah's issues run deep. Their roster just doesn't have the firepower to hang with elite teams. Lauri Markkanen leaves them with 19.6 points a game, but he's been underwhelming, and trade rumors keep swirling around him. John Collins, who's doubtful for this one, has been solid with 17.7 points, but let's be real, he's not exactly a guy you build around. Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson add some scoring punch, but it's not enough when your defense is leaking like a sieve. They're dead last in defensive efficiency, giving up a brutal 120.7 points per 100 possessions. That's not going to cut it against a Knicks squad that's second in offensive efficiency. Now, about the Knicks. They found their groove after a shaky start, and it's all starting to click. Jalen Brunson has been a beast, leading the team with 25.2 points a game. Karl Anthony Towns is doing exactly what they brought him in for, putting up 24.7 points and dominating in the paint, while Mikal Bridges is proving to be a perfect fit, chipping in 18 points a night. This team has depth too. OG Anunoby and Josh Hart might not be lighting up the scoreboard, but their contributions in Thibs' tight rotation are invaluable. And let's not forget, Madison Square Garden has been a fortress this year with the Knicks at 10-4 at home. The Jazz, though, aren't complete pushovers. They somehow managed to keep games close recently and even covered the spread in 5 of their last 6 matchups. They actually play better on the road, which is wild for a team struggling this much. 5 of their 7 wins this season have come away from home. So, while they don't have the talent to match New York, they might just have enough grit to keep it interesting, especially if Clarkson or Sexton can catch fire. This game feels like it could turn into a trap if the Knicks don't stay sharp. They've got the Thunder on deck, and if they look too far ahead, Utah could sneak in and make this one uncomfortable. The Jazz have nothing to lose, and sometimes that makes a team dangerous. That said, New York is the better team by a mile. I can't see them slipping up here, but the 14.5 point spread is a lot to cover, even for a squad as hot as the Knicks. I'm taking the Jazz to cover. Maybe I'm crazy, but Utah's scrappy road play and the Knicks possibly taking their foot off the gas late make me think this could be closer than people expect. Don't be shocked if the Jazz make some noise in the Garden and give Knicks fans a little more drama than they'd like tonight. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video.
The third prediction for today is for a game between the Brooklyn Nets and Toronto Raptors. Kicking off the new year, the Brooklyn Nets are packing their bags for Toronto to square off with the Raptors. Honestly, this feels like a matchup between two squads still searching for their mojo. Both teams are stumbling through tough stretches, making this game feel like a wild card. Let's dive into Brooklyn first. Man, their season has been a mess, a real tilt-a-whirl of inconsistency. Sitting at 12-20, they just can't seem to lock into any rhythm, especially on defense. That collapse against the Magic still stings, blowing a 17-point cushion in the final 7 minutes, only to get gutted by a Cole Anthony buzzer beater. Brutal. It wasn't just a loss, it was an unraveling. Letting a short-handed Magic squad claw all the way back? That's not just bad luck, that's a red flag. The Nets keep teasing promise, only to fumble it away in crunch time. Cam Thomas has been the silver lining, carrying the scoring load, but he's banged up and questionable for this one. D'Angelo Russell is back in Brooklyn, and while he's got the tools to spark this offense, consistency's never been his calling card. Still, his playmaking gives the Nets a puncher's chance, but their defense? Phew, that's another story. They're bleeding points and struggling on the boards like they're allergic to rebounds. The only bright side? They've been sneaky good against the spread on the road, which keeps things interesting. Now, the Raptors, what can I say? It's been a brutal stretch for the squad up north. They're dragging an 11-game losing streak into this one, and that Celtics game was just ugly 45 points allowed in a single quarter. That's not a defensive lapse. That's a full-on meltdown. Sitting at 7-26, injuries have taken their toll, but there's more to the story. Scotty Barnes, their cornerstone for the future, can't seem to catch a break, and RJ Barrett being out sick is another punch to the gut. Without Barrett, this team looks lost, and with Quickly and Brown barely suiting up, their depth is in shambles. Toronto's one saving grace has been their work on the glass, especially on the offensive end, but even that hasn't translated into enough second-chance buckets. Their offense is stuck in neutral, and their defense? Swiss cheese. That back-to-back grind isn't helping either. They've played 6 of them this season and lost 5. Fatigue is no joke, and coming off a shellacking from the Celtics, it's hard to see them regrouping in time. When these two teams met earlier this season in Toronto, Brooklyn cruised to a win despite missing key pieces like Cam Thomas and Dennis Schroeder. Fast forward to now, Thomas might still be out, but Russell brings a new dynamic.
Meanwhile, Toronto's still without Barrett, and that's a massive blow. Without him, they're struggling to find their footing on either end of the floor. The Raptors' back-to-back struggles combined with Brooklyn's rest advantage tilt the scales here. Sure, the Nets have their share of issues, but they've shown flashes of grit, especially on the road. And I've got to admit, there's something about D'Angelo Russell in a Nets jersey. It just feels right. As for Toronto, too many injuries, too much inconsistency, and not enough firepower to get out of their funk. If you're asking me, I'm putting my chips on Brooklyn. They've got enough to take care of business, and I think they'll get it done in a tough road environment. The Raptors just don't have the juice right now, and the Nets should capitalize. Let's roll with Brooklyn in this one. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Dallas Mavericks and Houston Rockets. The Mavericks roll into Houston to face the Rockets, and this one has all the makings of a scrappy, grinded-out battle. Both teams are licking their wounds after 2 straight losses, but their vibes couldn't be more different right now. Dallas, without Luka Doncic, is searching for answers, while Houston's young squad is still riding the wave of their surprising start to the season. Let's talk Dallas first. Luka's calf strain has been a major gut punch. He's already missed a chunk of games this season, and every time he's not out there, you can see just how much this team leans on him. Kyrie Irving, though, has shown he can take the wheel. Earlier this season, he led the Mavs to a solid run when Luka was out, but the last 2 games haven't exactly been confidence boosters. That loss to Sacramento was rough, and the Kings didn't even have to face a full-strength Dallas lineup. With Kyrie back, he's got to do the heavy lifting again. He's had success against Houston before, dropping 28 points and 7 dimes in their first matchup, so we know he's capable. The big question is whether the supporting cast can step up. Klay Thompson and Derek Lively are both on the injury radar, and Dallas's depth will get tested if those 2 can't suit up. Houston, on the other hand, has been one of the league's feel-good stories. This team is fun, they're fiery, and they're figuring it out. Alperen Sengun is becoming the real deal. Baby Jokic is no joke. He's filling up the box score like a seasoned vet, and his game is smooth. Jalen Green has been streaky, but when he's on, he's a bucket. The Rockets also have Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams bringing that grit on defense, while Fred VanVleet continues to be a steadying presence. They're locking teams up on the defensive end, ranking second in the league, and that's no small feat for a young squad. Houston's biggest edge in this game might be on the glass. They're pulling down nearly 7 more boards per game than Dallas, and with the Mavs possibly missing Lively, the Rockets could feast in the paint. That rebounding edge is huge because it'll let them dictate the pace and avoid getting into a 3-point shootout with Dallas, which is the last thing they want. The Mavs are deadly from beyond the arc, sitting 5th in the league in 3-point percentage. If the Rockets can slow the game down and keep Dallas out of transition, they'll be in a good spot. This matchup is also about Houston defending its home court. They've been one of the league's best home teams, and even though they just dropped 2 straight at the Toyota Center, those were close games. Losing by 1 to Minnesota and letting Miami steal it with a late run hurts, but this team is learning. They're 10-3 in their last 13 home games and 10-6 against the spread at home this season, which tells you they're still a tough out on their turf. When it's all said and done, I like Houston to take this one. The Rockets' energy, depth, and home court advantage should be enough to outlast a short-handed Dallas squad. I'm also keeping my eye on Alperen Sengun. He's been cooking lately, and I'm betting he'll drop more than 19 points in this game. The Mavs' interior defense without Lively is a weak spot, and Sengun is too skilled not to exploit it. As for the total, I'm leaning under 222.5 points. Houston's defense and Dallas's banged-up roster should make this more of a grind than a shootout. This one's going to be fun to watch. Houston's young core is proving they belong in the conversation, and a win here would be another step forward for them. Dallas, meanwhile, is just trying to weather the storm until Luka gets back. Let's see who wants it more tonight. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Atlanta Hawks and Denver Nuggets. Alright, here's the deal. The Hawks are on a roll right now. They're lighting up the scoreboard like it's a video game. Dropping 136 on the Timberwolves, 120 on the Heat, and then going nuclear with 140 and 141 against the Bulls and Raptors, that's pure fire. They're playing loose, confident, and like they've got something to prove. You can tell they're feeling themselves offensively. But let's keep it real. This matchup is a different animal. The Nuggets have been the Hawks' kryptonite, plain and simple. That December 8th beatdown where Denver strolled into Atlanta and walked away with a 30-point dub? Yeah, that wasn't a one-off. The game before that, they thrashed them by 32. It's been a lopsided series, and the common denominator is Nikola Jokic. The dude is just a walking mismatch. Whether he's dishing out dimes or scoring at will, he's been unstoppable against Atlanta. And let's be honest, if the Hawks can't figure out a way to slow him down, this could get ugly fast. The Hawks defense is what's got me worried. It's been shaky all season, and when you're up against an MVP like Jokic, that's a bad recipe. He controls the game like a conductor leading an orchestra, and Denver's supporting cast knows exactly how to play off him. The Hawks are going to have to bring some serious defensive energy if they want to hang in this one, but that's a big if. Now, both of these teams have been cash cows for the over this season. Atlanta's games have hit the over 21 times, and Denver isn't far behind. But I'm not sold on this being another shootout. Denver's defense has absolutely clamped down on Atlanta in the past, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see more of that tonight. The total sitting at 247 feels a bit too high for my taste. I'm leaning under. Denver's coming off 2 wins against the Jazz and Pistons. Okay, not the stiffest competition, but they handled business. What worries me about the Nuggets is consistency. They haven't been stringing together dominant performances like we've seen in the past. Plus, with Aaron Gordon potentially out, they might struggle to deal with Atlanta's speed and athleticism. If I'm calling it, I still think Denver has the edge. They've owned the Hawks recently, and Jokic is just too much of a problem for Atlanta's defense. That said, I wouldn't sleep on the Hawks entirely. They've been hot, and if their offense catches fire again, they could make this interesting. But when it's all said and done, I'm sticking to my gut. Nuggets take the win, and the total stays under 247. That's where my money's at. The sixth prediction for today is for a game between the Philadelphia 76ers and Sacramento Kings. The Philadelphia 76ers are riding a wave right now, and it's hard not to notice their transformation. After a nightmare start to the season, they've clawed their way back into relevance. It's wild to think this team once sat at 2-12, but here we are winners of 4 straight, and they've taken 11 of their last 14. Joel Embiid is back in full swing, putting up back-to-back 30-point games and reminding everyone why he's the Sixers' cornerstone. Pair him with Tyrese Maxey, who's been electric since his return, and a gradually improving Paul George, and you've got a squad that finally looks like they've figured it out. Sure, George hasn't exactly lived up to his name yet, averaging just over 15 points and struggling with his shot, but it's hard to ignore the chemistry building in Philly. Even with some depth pieces like Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond sidelined, the Sixers' core is healthy, and that's the real story here. Defensively, they're holding their own, giving up 113.4 points per 100 possessions, which is respectable. Offensively, they're still finding their groove, but with Embiid leading the charge, you feel like it's just a matter of time before they hit their stride. On the flip side, you've got the Sacramento Kings, who just can't seem to catch a break. Sure, they snagged a win against Dallas last time out, but let's be real, the Mavericks were missing Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and even Klay Thompson. That's not exactly a statement victory. Before that, the Kings were in freefall, losing 6 straight and ultimately showing coach Mike Brown the door. Doug Christie has stepped in as interim, but it's tough to say if he's got what it takes to steer the ship. De'Aaron Fox has been carrying the load, dropping 26.5 points a game, but even he's got trade rumors swirling around him. Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan are putting up decent numbers too, but the chemistry just isn't there. Offensively, Sacramento isn't bad. They're 8th in the league in points per 100 possessions, but defensively, it's a different story. They're middle of the pack, and that's just not cutting it. What's worse, the Kings have been terrible as home favorites, covering the spread just 5 times in 16 tries. That's a brutal stat for anyone thinking about trusting them here. Historically, Philly has owned this matchup. The Sixers have taken 9 of the last 10 meetings and covered 7 of them. That's dominance. Even with Embiid likely sitting this one out due to load management, I still like Philly's chances. They've got the momentum, and Sacramento just hasn't shown they can rise to the occasion, even against depleted opponents. The Kings' win over Dallas felt more like a gift than a testament to their improvement, given that the Mavs were without Kyrie and Luka. I'm rolling with the Sixers here. They've got the pieces clicking, and they're playing confident basketball. The Kings? They're still figuring it out, and until they prove otherwise, I can't back them. Philly to cover the +7 spread feels like the play.